I think that it just has people asking, seeking. They know now, I think people know that there's more to the universe, more to the world, more to the interactions with people than what we were trained to believe. And that's why this upsurgence has occurred. And I think that in that experience, the planet, as you know, everybody in the next 15 years are going to get the opportunity to awaken and to not necessarily be a light worker, but to just live the light. And that's how it's going to change. And that simply wasn't happening. It didn't seem to be happening quickly enough for the shift of the planet and the shift of the galaxies, really.
Hi, everybody. Thank you for joining us today. I am so excited to have this chat with Marilyn Harper. Marilyn channels Adironnda and the Council of Light, and she is also a spiritual teacher and a healer. Welcome, Marilyn. Thank you for being here with me.
Thank you so much. I am so excited to see you again, Lisa.
I know. It's good to see you again as well. We had an event together last year, and it was so much fun getting to know Marilyn. She is a little bundle of joy, for sure. Everything that you see is who she is. Absolutely. But today we're going to talk about being a walk-in. We're also going to talk about channeling, and we're also going to talk about healing. But before we really start jumping into those things, we're going to talk about what happened. How are you here today? So let's go back to your experiences that you had in '93, and let's start there and tell us the stories.
Well, I know to some people, they don't believe that walk-ins exist. But you know, Lisa, I am living proof that something major can happen, and I don't know any other way to describe it other than a walk-in. So, in 1993, I had complications following a surgery. I wasn't suicidal. I didn't want to end my life. I just had complications following a surgery. And I went into the hospital, and at one point in the hospital, I said, if I'm going to be in this much pain, I would rather die. I would rather be dead. And at that moment, I felt a real strong surge of energy. And I made enough noise that they took me right into X-ray to figure out what went wrong, what happened. And because otherwise I'd been waiting for 2 or 3 hours to get X-rayed. And after that, and that was April 22nd, 1993. And after that, when I got out of the hospital, Lisa, it was so weird because I was not metaphysical. I wasn't spiritual. I mean, I was religious. I was deacon in the Christian church, but I was not really, I didn't know anything about channeling other than the fact that, quite honestly, I didn't believe in it. I didn't know anything about what the Akashic records were or anything.
Yeah.
And when I came out of the hospital, I couldn't even read or write. I couldn't write. When you read my writing, I was in the process of writing my thesis for my master's degree. And when you read the first 2 or 3 chapters, it was fine and very profound and very interesting. But then when I wrote the next chapter, it was like a 3rd grader's journal. It was, I mean, that's what my instructor wrote on it. This sounds like a 3rd grader's journal. I couldn't write in English any longer. The syntax, the word order was all out of sync. You know how when English is your second language, how the word order is different?
Yeah.
Then I couldn't do the same things. I mean, I used to do my walkout, would do counted cross stitch all the time. You know what counted cross stitch is, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I couldn't figure out how to read the pattern. I mean, my walkout used to design costumes for shows, for theatrical productions. I couldn't even figure out how to read a pattern. I mean, and I couldn't wear the same clothes. I walk out, and it's interesting that I have on black today because for probably 10 years, my walkout could not wear red or black. And before, or my walk in could not. Before the walkout, she wore red and black all the time, and she wore giant earrings that hit my shoulders, and I couldn't do that. I in fact, it's only been in the past 5 years that I've been able to wear red, and the past 10 years that I've been able to wear black,
Mhm.
and it just didn't resonate with me. Well, so that's what happened in 1993, and
Mhm.
so I didn't know what had happened for 2 years, 3 years.
Uh-huh. So then in 96, what happened?
Well, the universe, I guess I was ready to understand. I was ready to receive the information because in 96, um, actually the very tail end of 95, November, Thanksgiving Day, my mother, we had like 60 people over to my mother's house for lunch, Thanksgiving dinner, and my mother came to me right before Thanksgiving dinner and held out a book that said, "Have you ever read the book Strangers Among Us by Ruth Montgomery?" And I'm like, "No, no, can I borrow it?" And she says, "No, you can't borrow it. You never return books," which is true. Don't ever loan me a book that you want back. Um, and then, a couple of days later, another friend of mine, a guy that I'd been dating, he asked me the same question. "Have you ever read the book Strangers Among Us by Ruth Montgomery?" And he said, "Well, I've got it at my house. You want to come by and pick it up?" And I'm like, "That's so weird because my mom just mentioned the same book." And so I went by his house, picked up a different book. When I got home, I thought, well, this isn't Strangers Among Us. This is a book by Charles Fillmore in Unity. I don't believe in Unity. And then, and now I was on the board in Unity later. And then the universe arranged for me to take a 12-hour drive with a friend of mine that when we were graduate students together, we really didn't get along very well. But once again, the universe arranged for us to get back together, and we became best friends. And we drove for 12 hours up to Madison, Wisconsin. And I was telling him that everything is so weird in my world that I didn't know what had happened because nothing was the way it was. And I can't do the same things. I don't want to do the same things, blah, blah, blah. And he said, "Have you ever read the book Strangers Among Us by Ruth Montgomery?" And I'm like, "What is it about this book?" And so I said, "No, but I haven't bought it yet. Can you tell me what it's about?" So he proceeded to tell me about the walk in phenomenon. And I'm like, "Oh my goodness, that had to have happened to me." So now, Lisa, the caveat is I got the book and read it, of course, but then at Christmas time, I went back to my mom and because I thought my mom knows that I'm not the person she gave birth to.
Mm.
and, and I asked her about the book and she says, "No, I've never read that book. I know Ruth Montgomery's books, but I've never read that book." And I'm like, "You had it in your hand." We looked through all of her bookcases. It was not there.
Yeah.
And then I went to the guy that I was dating at the time, and I said, "Okay, Bill, you remember telling me about to read the book Strangers Among Us by Ruth Montgomery?" And he's like, "No, I've never read any of Ruth Montgomery's books. What are they about?" And I'm like, I, I mean, I freaked out.
Yeah.
And that's when I went back to my friend John, and he said, "Yeah, I told you that." And that's when I realized that the universe really will take care of you. I
Yeah.
mean, the universe will have your back, source will have your back. And I was ready to know what had happened. And so then that really set me on a spiritual path.
Mm. Yeah. Okay. So then comes 99.
And that took the turn of the spiritual path that I never thought possible. It was not what I was expecting at all. I mean, I learned in 96, I learned to do guided writing. And in my guided writing, they said, my guides said that I was a channel and that I would bring in energy and information from beings that are no longer in this dimension, and that I would be speaking and activating in front of thousands of people. And I am an activator, and I activate people in groups. And I'm like, I don't think so. I am from Missouri. You know, excuse me. And I thought, that is so weird. I don't believe in channeling. In fact, I threw the book Out on a Limb by Shirley MacLaine
Mm,
away because I thought it was sacrilegious.
mm,
And somehow it kept showing up back in my car, which is interesting.
yeah.
But in 1999, this was 3 years after I woke up. I set myself on the spiritual path during that 3 year time, and I said, okay, I will go anywhere, I will do anything, I will say anything, as long as you can prove to me that your source energy moving through me or God. And and then more strange things started happening. Uh, I was selling advertising for a country western radio station at the time. So I would drive, I don't know, 100, 150 miles a day some days. And I would kind of like drive around, and all of a sudden I would find myself out in the country and not have any collective memory as to how I got there.
Mm,
Um, my stereo started coming on at 4:44 a.m. Every day on a rock station, even though I only listened to NPR, um, which now I think is American Public Media or something. But it, it it just didn't make any sense. And so after 5 speeding tickets and 3 car wrecks, and my stereo coming on, and all of a sudden the numbers 1111 were everywhere, and 444 were everywhere. I've actually written a book on double
mhm,
digitology as to how they get your attention with the numbers. Um, and and what happened was, uh, after the third car wreck, which in all the car wrecks I was never really hurt. I mean, it was so wild. The third one was the most serious. Totaled my car. Yet there was a paramedic that was jogging at that corner where I had the car accident right there. So he knew what to do.
mhm,
When my parts of my car flew off and hit another car, that person was a nurse in the ER.
mm.
So, I mean, if you're going to have a wreck, you might as well have your emergency personnel right there on target.
The paramedic and the emergency room nurse, yes.
Right, right. And and
Yeah.
so then, I took off work. I wasn't hurt. I mean, I tore some ligaments in my foot, but it didn't slow me down very much. But they gave me a permission to take off work, so I did.
Mhm,
And
mhm,
and then I I then I went to a psychic fair, or I would never have gone to a psychic fair just on my own because, it was a psychic fair.
mhm,
And but I figured, well, the only people that would be there would be other, weirdos. And so in that, again, the universe steps in whenever you need it. And I encountered a person that, um, she uh, said, that I should have a reading with some other person, and I did. And she was in the waiting room, and we got to talking, and her name was Alexis. And in talking with Alexis, I was telling her that I'm going to have back surgery in a few weeks, and think that kind of thing. What are you doing? And I said, I'm having back surgery, and she says, well, I can fix that. And I'm like, what?
mhm,
She, and she said, yeah, I can fix your back so you won't need surgery. I'm like, okay. So how much does it cost, and how long will it take? And so she told me 7 sessions, $350. I thought, sure,
Mhm.
I'll do that. And and then she came to my house and she started working, and we went out for lunch or something, and I was driving, and I almost hit another car. And she said, "You are not in your body." Now, Lisa, I didn't know that you could be walking around in the physical world and not be present at the time. But it's really a dangerous thing.
Yeah.
And and so she knew what to do. And we actually have a sitcom that some of the first 8 episodes are about that experience. Two Girls in a Galaxy.
Yeah.
And uh, we have that, and she told me to pull into the parking lot, and she knew how to set my conscious self aside and asked to speak to whoever was present in my body or to my higher self. And that was the first time Adironnda spoke. And they came in immediately.
Mhm.
They said, "We are Adironnda. Thank goodness. We've been trying to get this woman's attention for a long time." And I know I've been accused of being a little bit stubborn. And I would say that that's very true.
Yeah.
And so with that, um, I um, channeled Adironnda right there in the parking lot of the Ace Hardware. And they said that they were an activator and that I was an activator. Me, Marilyn Harper, was an activator, and they're going to activate that energy in mass so I would be able to activate groups of hundreds, thousands
Mhm.
on stage, and um, so that the transformation of this planet Earth would be easier than it has been. They said that they were sent by Source, and they used the term Source to find someone that could hold their energy, that they were from the 17th dimension. I mean, Lisa, I didn't even know there were 17 dimensions.
Mhm.
Uh, there 13 have been proven by science so far.
Yeah.
And 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 they said that they were here to help and here to be of service to humanity, to help all people feel what it feels like to be held in pure, infinite, unconditional love. And it's
Mhm.
like, well, that has to be a good thing. And so that was 1999.
Uh-huh. Yeah. Well, what an adventure. Um, okay. So, where does the Council of Light come in?
So the council, they said that they were the representative, the kind of a spokesbeing of
Mhm.
the council, of um, a group of archangels and ascended masters from this planet. Now, in the beginning, they identified themselves, um, Archangel Raphael, Michael, Gabriel, um, ascended masters, the Master Yeshua or Jesus, Mother Mary, Kuan Yin, Lord Buddha, Isis, Sekhmet, uh, Ra, Lakshmi, sometimes Shiva, Saint Germain, Babaji. There may be more. They come and go. Elohim. They kind of come and go. And I could not, in 1999, I could not have fathomed me being a messenger for that lofty of a council. So I called them the team
Mhm.
or company. And that's actually where the term Aderonda and Company came from.
Okay.
And so they were called the company, and they could speak independently, um, or they could speak as the collective, or Aderonda can speak and they could speak through them.
Mhm. Mhm.
Aderonda is neither male nor female, and both, they say.
Mhm.
But um, I mean, it was interesting to think. I mean, I always knew that some of those people were my guides,
Mhm.
but Lisa, it's so wild that I'd seen one channel in my life up to that point.
Yeah.
She was in Connecticut, white buffalo woman.
Ah, yeah.
And 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 when she did her, channeling for me, she said that I would be channeling. She said that I would be bringing in beings from other dimensions. She said all of this, and I thought, "You I don't think so." And this
Mhm.
was 2 years before I started channeling.
Mm.
So they
Yeah.
tried to get my attention for a couple of years.
Yeah. Sometimes it takes us a little bit longer than than a lot of times when we get messages, we think that it's supposed to happen immediately. But sometimes it's foresight to where it takes some times for us to adjust and
Yes.
get aligned with what that energy is. And it might take years to do it.
Yes, it might.
Yeah.
Absolutely, it might.
Yeah. Yeah. So, okay. So let's go back to being a walk-in. Okay, so let's be more specific because you weren't really specific on what a walk-in is. Can you describe that a little bit more?
I can. And the first thing that I would say to your listeners, do not Google it. Do not Google the term walk in because you will be horrified at the results. You know, it's something that if it had not have happened to me, honestly, I would not have believed it was possible. And it's a walk in is a person at that time in the 90s and the 80s, which is, I guess it was the 70s or the 80s when Ruth Montgomery coined the term walk in.
Mhm,
And then, uh, then it was a complete soul exchange. At the time, I thought it was a different soul,
mhm,
but I now know that it was the same soul that I was born with, but somehow it's several generations more advanced.
mm,
And so I walked in with other talents and skills and things that I could do, and which is what I'm doing now.
mhm,
It's my understanding that at that time, a walk in, it took 8 years to be able to integrate all of that energy. And that was about, 8 years from the time of the walk in until I, was using channeling as my profession.
mhm.
Um, and um, but it was really a lot to deal with when I couldn't do the same things. I couldn't think the same things. It just wasn't the same. Now, a walk in now is different. It seems different than a walk in that happened in the 2000s or before.
Oh, really?
Uh,
Okay, so what's the difference?
from what I understand, and there's a great book by Sheila Seppi, The Cosmology of a Soul, that has a division of all the different kinds of walk ins. Um, and it it seems that the amplification of the universe is really important. So people don't have 8 years to be able to integrate. And so um, with this amplification, it's like the walk-in occurs, but it's their higher self coming in to be recognized by their regular self,
Mhm,
not a soul that's more advanced, but their own higher self. So
mhm,
therefore, the integration time is much easier and much more complete,
mhm,
much quicker,
mhm,
um, because the world needs us, needs the walk in. And as you know, it's a walk in comes in with a burning desire to make a difference,
mhm,
or to be the difference, and to help awaken the planet or to do something. It doesn't have to be on some grand scale, but
mhm.
they just have a burning desire to make the world a better place.
Yeah.
And they do that. Does that make
Okay,
sense?
so it does. It does make sense. So, but I'm curious about because I know that's not the same experience that you had. So maybe you can explain it. Because I was taught some time ago about connecting to the higher self and becoming more integrated with the higher self, the soul that resides within me plus the higher self, and kind of integrating that energy. That is not the same thing that you're talking about, is it?
Not really.
Okay.
I would call, um, you know, it's to our advantage for all of us to integrate to our higher self,
Hmm.
right? Um, and that's an important aspect. Um, but walk in, Sheila calls them a composite, where they are uh, operating more on the level of their higher self than on the level of their regular self.
Hmm.
So they seem to grasp the enlightenment of the planet a little more easily, a little more connectedly. In the past few years, I'm sure you're aware, there has been an upsurge of light workers on the planet.
Hmm.
And and you know, it's it's a powerful transformation. And from what I understand, that is a part of it, is that connection that we have of being truly who we are without the belief that we have a higher or lower self,
Uh-huh.
that we are indeed all one.
Hmm.
And now, what's the difference between what you're saying and what I'm saying? Golly, I don't know. You know, it may be the same, but
Uh-huh.
there seems to be in walk-ins that are composites, that it seems to be that they have a little more drastic of a personality shift,
Yeah. Yeah.
and than just by choice connecting with your higher self
Yeah.
or integrating.
And that's how I understand it. It's just how you just explained it. It's almost like you can, like you said, that your personality completely changed, or your identity and the clothes you wear, the way that you wrote. So, and okay, so if how does it have? I mean, how does? I mean, like
I understand.
what creates? I mean, does somebody have to go through some really huge tragedy, a like an accident or something, or is it just like you can go to sleep one night and then all of a sudden you wake up a different
You
person?
know, it would be great if they were all consistent, wouldn't it?
Yeah.
But they're not. In
Uh,
the past, um, people believed that it had to be because they were um, wishing suicidal or
uh,
depressed or having a tremendous traumatic emotional event.
mhm.
Um, and like, I didn't have any of that.
Yeah.
I mean, I did 15 years before that,
Uh-huh.
13 years before that, but not then.
Yeah.
But and I didn't walk in with
Uh-huh.
that experience.
Yeah.
Um, and then people thought that they had to have a near death experience,
Hmm.
and some did.
Hmm.
Some, a friend of mine wrote a book called The Third Alternative, which was third alternative to suicide.
Hmm.
And and but I think that it just has people asking, seeking. They know now, I think people know that there's more to the universe, more to the world, more to the interactions with people
Hmm.
than what we were trained to believe.
Yeah.
And that's why this upsurgence has occurred. And I think that in that experience, the planet, as you know, everybody in the next 15 years are going to get the opportunity to awaken and to not necessarily be a light worker, but to just live the light.
Yeah.
And that's how it's going to change. And that simply wasn't happening. It didn't seem to be happening quickly enough for the shift of the planet and the
Mhm.
shift of the galaxies, really.
Yeah.
And so that's why um, they or the universe or God or stepped in and said,
Mhm.
okay, so we're going to mix this up just a bit.
Yeah. Yeah. The humans need a little extra help.
Right, right. And
Yeah.
then messengers like yourself, messengers like me
Yeah.
came into play.
Yeah. Absolutely. So let's go to Adironnda. Okay, so let's talk a little bit more about what is Aderonda? Is it a collective? Is it just a spiritual being? What is this?
Adironnda, Adironnda is a spiritual being from the angelic realm, and they are also from the 17th dimension. And they say that there's 144 dimensions going on simultaneously. And they are the spokes being for the council. So when you see Adironnda, as you may have at this event that we both did together, um, you can tell when the energy shifts and a member of the council comes forward by themselves or in a group. Um, and they kind of orchestrate that. They love humans. They've never spoken through a human body before me. So they actually had to learn how the human body works.
Mhm.
and and it it was an interesting avenue to have this being, and the way they confirmed in me that this was actually real and was happening was I had been having dreams in 1999, actually 1997, 98, 99. I'd been having these dreams of this place, and it was all in shades of blue, and it had the vegetation was like rubbery, like a baby bottle nipple, and it had these structures that were rounded and low to the ground that had a door, but it didn't look like they had a door. And if you went up to it, it would either open so you could go in or close, and I would see cobalt blue light coming through my hands. And I guess that's kind of what the 17th dimension looks like. And that's where Adironnda encountered me. Is I would go to that dimensional realm. I know this sounds so bizarre. I would go to that dimensional realm at night while I was asleep and do healing work for the planet or people or something. And they encountered me and found that I could hold that energy. So that's when they started trying to connect with me.
Mhm.
And Adironnda, when actually we interviewed Joy, a friend of mine interviewed Adironnda, one of my business partners, um, for several chapters for a book, and one day we'll get them in a book um, about where they are, who they are, what they are. And they say that we would perceive them as a mist or um, a cloud, that we would perceive colors as they would change, but they really, their species or their evolution has evolved beyond a physical form as we would recognize it.
Yeah, I understand that completely. Yeah,
Yeah.
I understand that. So what are the messages that Adirondda I mean, like, what are the things that are the most important that they want us to know?
Um, First, they want to know that no matter what, You are loved.
Yeah.
And your love. They ask you to be the love that you are. And what they mean by that is to let everything besides love go from your physical, mental, emotional, and spiritual bodies. Um, and that love heals all, is all, bees all, loves the, it's in all the songs. We should pay attention to it. I mean, that's what Adironnda says. It's like, when are you going to get this so we can talk about something new?
Yeah.
And they discovered early on that when people laugh, their heart chakra automatically pops open.
Yeah.
So then they didn't know in the beginning what humor or laughter was. But when they laugh, when people laugh, they saw their heart chakra pop open. Even though at that time my eyes were closed, they can see people without my eyes being open.
Yeah.
Um, and and then they started understanding what humor was, and so they became a little funny, because then when someone's heart chakra pops open, their guides can come in and basically do what needs to have happen, what they need to do.
Mhm. So do you mean like if somebody needs some healing or something that they need some release of something that they don't need to hold on to anymore, that's when their guides. It's kind of like the little portal opening to.
Yes,
And
exactly.
that's what I'm seeing. I'm seeing this so clear of laughing in our heart chakras opening up, and then the guys are like, "Yeah, let's get in there. Let's start removing stuff that needs to be removed while she's open and open to receiving and that happiness and joy when we don't have our guard up so much." You know,
Exactly.
yeah, yeah,
Exactly.
yeah. So let's talk about channeling,
Okay.
because a lot of people have questions about channeling. For you and I, it kind of happens spontaneously. I mean,
Yeah.
it's not like I never really set out, I want to be a channel. It just started happening. I just kind of started. It's like,
Yes.
oh, I'm hearing
Yes, I
voices. What's
understand that.
happening? Yeah, what's happening here? But people can learn how to channel. Is that correct?
That's correct. I actually now have 3 different levels that I teach channeling on. And I teach channeling at a live or an online class called How to Channel, Even If You Think You Can't. And we guarantee that everybody channels by the end of the class. Then I have the Channeler's Method, which is all online, not interactive. And then I have the Channeler's Academy, which is an amazing academy where everybody learns to open up their channeling muscles. Because, as you know, everybody channels.
Yeah.
They may just not recognize it,
Yep.
but everybody channels, and they all have that sort of energy of of being able to connect with their own guides, being
Mhm.
able to connect with the energy and information that is within them,
Mhm.
being able to connect with all things like that.
Yeah.
And so, what we do in the academy is sort of hone that skill, train that skill, help you recognize it, help you discern whether you have different guides coming into you. and
Mhm.
and when I started teaching it, I didn't even know if I could,
Mhm.
but I was guided, so I just trusted the energy,
Yeah.
and it worked great.
Yeah. So, what are some benefits of channeling?
Everything, you know um, if you're in sales, you can uh, connect to your client to know exactly what it is that they're looking for,
Yeah.
and seeing how you can help them get that. In a relationship or a friendship, you can connect with their guidance if they're having a struggle or a problem, and then help them find that solution.
Mhm.
Um, or just in everyday communication, you can. It sounds so weird to be able to look at two clumps of broccoli and think, I know this one is going to last longer than the other one. You know, I mean, I don't know that I've ever really used it that way, but it's possible.
It is. It is. Yeah.
And to be able to understand, and actually that kind of led me into the healing energy,
Mhm.
even though I didn't realize it at the time, is because as a channel, you can understand the human body
Mhm.
a little more easily. As an Adironnda, it's interesting, does not ever call me a channel. They say that I'm a link,
Mhm.
a divine link, that I'm linking two worlds together.
Mhm.
And so that's really a part of that essence, is to be able to link those worlds together and help people connect with their higher self. I mean, it's also about living intuitively,
Mhm.
because the channeling muscles and the intuitive muscles are definitely connected.
Yep.
And and wouldn't we all love to live intuitively 24/7, to know that we're always going to be at the right place at the right time at the right minute? And
Mhm.
even when, like this morning, like everything was going a little crazy today, um, and then to know that that's the way it's supposed to be, so you can figure out something new.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, I think that we're moving into, I think this is a perfect topic about living an intuitive life. I think this is what we're headed into is is learning how to make choices and decisions and living more from that heart space intuitive nature than from the construct of the mind, living in fear and past belief systems and programming. Does that,
Yes,
yeah.
absolutely, it does.
Hmm.
Absolutely, it's. I mean, according to Cryon, the reason that when I walked in, stopped having the ability to write in English, or even really speak in English, because I used to teach grammar as my walkout, and I could hardly put a sentence together,
Hmm.
and it's because we have evolved. We are evolving beyond the written word, and we're
Hmm.
evolving into being able to communicate without ever speaking.
Yeah.
And that's what we're doing. And we kind of are forerunners of that. You and I
Yeah.
are forerunners of that experience.
Yeah.
I don't always listen, but if I did, I would be a lot happier most of the time. Um,
Well,
because
I think it's important, and I think it's important for what you have to say and offering opportunities for people to become more in tune with that inner voice and opening up our channels of communication, because it's definitely where we're moving as a human race.
yes.
Yeah.
Yes, it absolutely is.
Yeah.
And that's exciting.
It is. So, what are some things that, like everyday things that we don't realize that we're channeling? So, for example, what if I'm having a conversation with somebody?
Well, sometimes you'll say something and it'll be really profound, and you'll think, "Wow, where did that come from?"
Yeah, yeah. And
And
should
that's
people should
true.
people trust that?
Yeah,
Being able to say, "Oh, okay, that wasn't me. That was
yeah,
something." Yeah,
absolutely,
yeah,
absolutely. And I think speakers and teachers and ministers, and I mean, they channel all the time,
yeah.
because they connect with who they're communicating with and provide something for them that
Mhm.
inspires them to live a better life. And
Yeah,
that's really what we're all here doing.
yeah.
And, so in any conversation, you can bring in information from your higher self. And
Mhm,
that's really a powerful thing.
mhm. Okay, so but when you're talking about your higher self, because we mentioned it earlier, but for people that don't know what your higher self is, explain that.
everybody, everybody has a guardian angel.
Mhm,
Actually, they do. Everyone has a set of guides, a set of beings from the light, and it may be connected to your grandmother that is now on the other side acting as one of your guides. It may be connected to an ascended master like Jesus or Buddha, someone that was very profound in their presence on the planet.
Mhm.
And then they become one of your guides. Your higher self, there are a series of consciousness that you experience that are for you. They may also be for others, but are for you, and that you can that they kind of help communicate with you through your own intuition, through your own guidance, through prayer, through meditation, through guided writing, and your higher self is working to help you raise to their level always 24/7.
Mhm.
And it's not, raising, our English language is so inadequate,
Yeah.
but it's not a higher and a lower.
Yeah.
I mean, because there is no hierarchy any
Mm-mm.
longer.
Mm-mm.
I mean, we're all the same, and we all have the same capabilities. Uh, some people are better tap dancers, and some people are better singers, and some people are better channels. It's a natural ability. It's one of your
Mhm.
innate abilities, and if you choose to um, develop it, like a tap dancer will take lessons.
Mhm.
Even though she may be or he may be a really good tap dancer, they're still going to learn lessons and how to make that skill as strong as possible. And so it's the same way with connecting with your higher self. Uh, They're always available. They never really interfere unless you're putting yourself in danger.
Mhm.
And but they'll let you learn all the lessons that you need to learn while you're here on this planet. I
Mhm.
wish sometimes they'd interrupt me, and help me live a little bit better.
Yeah.
But
So, well, let's talk about holographic healing. Okay, so
okay,
what is holographic healing?
holographic healing is a six-part certified healing modality that I created. That was um, started actually before I started channeling officially. I mean, I was channeling already. I just didn't call it that. And I'm going to take a drink of water. This is water. This is not wine. When Adironnda first came in, they said to drink out of cobalt blue bottles. So, of course, now we sell them. But holographic healing is a, a means of interdimensionally um, connecting with the human form in order to realign it or release pain, chronic disease, or things that have created an imbalance in the human form. We do that with intention, visualization, and combining the emotional body with the physical body, which is where we get into the Akashic records.
Mhm.
I mean, as you know, every physical ailment has an emotional counterpart.
Yeah.
And if you can heal the emotional counterpart, then you stand a greater chance of healing the physical body
Yep.
or uh, aligning the physical body. Sometimes we have to be, as practitioners, we have to be really careful with the word healing.
Yeah.
Uh, and it's really realigning it, helping the human body remember what it was like before there was ever an imbalance.
Mhm.
And that's kind of what holographic healing is. It was uh, the energy of, you know, level one is all about an introduction and sort of lays the foundation. Level 2 is all about the Akashic records, which you're an Akashic records expert.
Mhm.
I need to have you on my double digit. and and then to learn how to get to that emotional core in this life or in any other life. And what we find is that things go on a 7-year cycle, and the emotional count energy repeats about every 7 years until
Mhm.
you get it, and then it doesn't repeat any longer. And it's kind of one of those things. Then level 3 is about activating the channel, activating your innate ability to see, sense, feel, hear, or know, which I call that the soul senses, inside of your body or someone else's body. So you can put that back into a place of alignment. Now, it may take longer than if you were to cut that body part off, but you don't have to have the surgery
Yeah.
in many cases. And then level 4 is about putting all that together and letting you experience that energy. Huh?
Mhm. Yeah. So how come you called it holographic? And because the reason why I'm asking is because the holograms,
Right.
and and a lot of times people don't. I haven't heard that to say way back in the '90s, and I think Cryon used to talk about holograms and how we're kind of like a hologram. So that's why I was wondering when I was reading this information, is it tied together in some way, just the holographic body and what you're doing?
I don't know if it's tied together or not, but when I started, I would visualize the body in front of me like a hologram. And I
Mhm.
would see or sense the places where it was out of balance
Mhm.
and or out of sync.
Mhm.
And then I would use etheric tools to um, put it back into a place of balance. You know, the work by Dr. Masaru Emoto, Messages from the Water.
Yeah.
I mean, I saw that book in 2000, and it changed my world. You
Mm.
know, and if water responds to human emotion, then so does the physical body.
Yeah.
And so that's sort of a premise that we built it on. And and because I kept seeing this hologram in front of me, and to see it looks like, I don't know, I'm don't know what a hologram raven looks like, but to me it was like I was seeing the x-ray of the
Mhm.
human form, whether you're working on your sinuses, whether you're working on macular degeneration, whether you're working on scoliosis of the spine. And when I started working, I mean, one of my first clients had scoliosis, and we actually were able to straighten her spine, and it showed up on the x-rays when she had x-rays. And I thought, wow, this is important. This is important stuff.
Yeah.
And so I started developing, and that was in the 90s. That
Yeah.
was actually before I started officially channeling, even
Mhm.
though I'm sure that's what I was doing.
Yeah.
um, I just couldn't recognize it at that time.
Mhm.
And so that's where the holographic comes from, is because we work with the body as the visualization
Mhm.
in a hologram sort of way.
Yeah. So, do you still do this work, or do you have practitioners that do this work for people that are looking for something like this?
That's a great question. Thank you for asking that.
You're welcome.
I I don't do that very often just because of time constraints. I wrote a book, which is a transcription really of a person's session, holographic healing, uh, the transformation, one woman's journey of transformation,
Mhm.
and and it. I do it some now, but I train people, and it is a 6 level training course, and this fifth level is all about certification to make sure that you know what you're doing. And the sixth level is if you want to teach it. Now, with the certification, you can practice it on anybody. Set up
Mhm.
your own practice, set up your own ability, set up your own, business.
Mhm.
But if you want to teach it, and teach, my technique and my methods, then that's what level 6 is.
Mhm.
And which is very cool. We're actually launching that over. I mean, I've got recordings that are 11 years old that we've, bless their hearts, they've been watching them for 11 years, and that was before anybody was ever doing anything online, and they're so old, and the information is still good, but the videos are really outdated. So
Yeah.
we're revamping the whole thing this year,
Mhm.
and launching it again.
Mhm.
And because the information is actually, there's a lot of new information in it,
Yeah.
and that's a powerful thing.
Yeah. Well, and I think that the way that we as humans are evolving and the density and everything that's shifting and changing, I think it's important for people to understand that what you're talking about is going to be more of the way of doing things. Is that
Yeah.
energy, moving frequency around?
Absolutely. And I don't ever want to discourage anyone from going to see a traditional doctor.
Hmm.
I say go get the diagnosis. See what they say. Get the X-rays. That helps
Hmm.
us work with it even more clearly.
Yeah.
Um, and and wouldn't it be great if you didn't have to have that knee replacement surgery? Wouldn't it be great if you didn't have to replace your rotocuff,
Yeah.
or wouldn't it be great if you could see if you've been diagnosed with macular degeneration?
Yeah.
So, and everything is energy. I mean, this table is energy, this bottle is energy, everything is energy, and intention is everything.
Yeah.
And Adironda's been saying that for years, and and I don't think people quite got it yet.
Yeah.
So that's what we teach.
Well, we're gonna get it because this is what's happening. So let's talk about selenite. Okay,
Yes.
so you use selenite,
Yes.
and so let's talk about how. What first of all, selenite is a stone.
Yes. Selenite is a stone. As a matter of fact, I've got one in a selenite sword of light in the other room.
Mhm.
I've got. I should go get it. Um, and selenite is a tool. It's a natural stone. Adironnda says it's from the future, and it's a natural stone that does not absorb any negative energy, and it it actually follows the intention of the user and the receiver. And so, with that, I just happen to have one right here with you. Um, and this is a healing tool, and you can see this one is kind of translucent, um, and it's got the Adironnda symbol on it as well.
Mhm.
And the selenite actually, if your intention, if you have a headache, then you would put the um, sword on your head wherever the pain or the pressure is. If
Mhm.
you're feeling a little chaotic energy, kind of like we did this morning,
Mhm.
you might hold it here and breathe into it and ask the selenite to realign your body, uh, so it's constructive energy and doesn't feel chaotic. When I broke my arm a few years ago, I couldn't sleep because it hurt so bad at night, and so I would hold the selenite over the break in my arm and ask the selenite to help align my arm and relax my muscles so they were not pushing against the rebuilding of my bone, that they were acknowledging it as a natural phenomenon and let me sleep.
Mhm.
And that's the first night that I slept.
Yeah.
Uh, so selenite, and of course, in the selenite swords of light that we create, there's all kinds of amazing things in the handle as well. And this one has a capstone of a Lemurian crystal. Uh, and then you can use any piece of selenite in that capacity. Our selenite swords of light actually kind of Well, it's kind of like holographic healing. Holographic healing turbocharges absolutely every other modality that you have, and the
Mhm,
selenite actually will help you turbocharge that to
mhm.
follow the intention of the user. I mean, I've used it to balance the energy in a room before.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, selenite's powerful, and that's why I wanted to talk about it, and especially since you've created the wands. But I think you've said something that was really important, that any piece of selenite can be an assistance. Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So what would be the final message that the Council of Light the Council of sorry, I'm having 15 words go off in my head. The Council of Light and Aridon
Adironnda.
I knew I was going to have trouble saying that. I want to call Adirondack. And
It
I,
happens all the time.
yeah, it's so easy to say, but it's so hard at the same time. I'm
I
sorry.
understand. I
Yeah.
understand.
So what, anyway, so what are the final messages that you'd like to share with people from their wisdom?
You know, just try to be who you are. Allow yourself to realize that you're always going to be in the right place at the right time and the right perfect timing. And that you are divine love at your core.
Mhm,
And you have the ability to shift your consciousness and the consciousness of everyone that you encounter just by being you.
yeah.
So allow anything that doesn't feel like love to just relax and fall away, integrate so completely. So, all those old traumatic experiences, all the old energy, all that focus on what isn't happening
Mhm,
is not what you're creating, because every time you think, well, this isn't happening, that's what you're creating. And instead think, I love what is happening. I
mhm,
love the fact that everything was shifting around this morning. Everything was because the universe, source, you are the master of the universe. You are the creator. The universe only says yes to you.
mhm.
And so when you say yes to you too, then that flows into the energy of the new frequency of the planet. And
Absolutely.
that's why we're all here.
That's why we're all here. Absolutely. So you have a number of different offerings. So can you run through just really quick what you offer?
I can. I would like to give everyone in your audience what we call in the Adironnda portal uh, tier one. I think it's the amethyst level, or maybe it's the rose quartz. It's the discovery level. And that is, and everyone, it's worth $44. And everyone in your audience, I would like to give that to them. It's got, I don't know, 14 or 15 different activations and meditations and music from the master Randy Luna. It's got classes from about your Akashic records. It's got classes on how to connect. It's got intuitive classes. It's got your frequency of the month that changes every month. It's got that so you can kind of figure out what's going on each month. It's
Mhm.
got spiritual happy hour, which is a program that we've done. It's got I don't know if Two Girls in a Galaxy is there or not, but it might be. It's got all kinds of things in it. A year's worth of information, and they get it for a whole year, and it
Perfect.
changes all the time. And they get that through Aderonda. That's ADIRONNDA.com. I know, couldn't they call it Joe? But Aderonda.com/bliss, BLISS. And Aderonda loves bliss because they use the acronym because life is simply spiritual.
Yeah.
Uh, uh, Aderonda/bliss. And
Okay.
we would like to give that to all of your listeners.
Okay. And I will include your website and
Thank
this information in the video description. So you guys, all you have to do is go over to the video description, scroll down to the bottom of the description, and you'll see the information in order to contact Marilyn and her website and this offering. So Marilyn, thank you so much for being here. And gosh, I really appreciate you, and your journey is magnificent. So thank you for being on Earth at this time and being one of our leaders, the forerunners. And for you guys, I will see you next Monday. I hope you join me again, and have a great week.